So Tim Walz is out there showing Democrats how to talk to people. And of course, the mainstream media really isn't touching on this much at all. But folks, if you watch his speeches right now, he is going out there and he's echoing what so many of us are thinking. He's saying it all out loud. He's putting it all on the line. And if you watch these clips, it's so clear just how watered down they had him on the campaign trail with Kamala Harris. Because if you remember, when he first came out, he came out firing on all cylinders. He had the crowds energized. He had people fired up and inspired. And then they started telling him to tone it down a little bit. Don't call them weird. Don't make fun of them. Don't call them names. Let's not stoop to their level. Let's have proper decorum here. Folks, that is long gone, okay? This idea of we're going to have proper decorum and we're going to reach across the aisle and shake their hands, that ship sailed a long, long time ago, and there's absolutely no looking back at it. We need people who's going to fight. We need people who's going to stand up, and we need people who is going to echo what we've been sitting here screaming. So I'm going to play you some clips from Tim Walz, and if you've not watched them, I highly recommend go out of your way and find more of them, because finally someone is saying what the rest of us has been screaming about. Take a look.
And I would argue that Democratic officials should hear the primal scream that's coming from America is do something, damn it. This is wrong. This is wrong. And independence. And there's nothing conservative about an unelected South African Nepo baby firing people at the VA. And for our Republican neighbors now, all of a sudden, they're like, I wanted my 401k to go down. I wanted this, This idea that you would be okay. Can you imagine if President Barack Obama had brought his unelected African friend to cut? You know what I mean? How they think to cut the government. This is wrong. And your member of Congress is there to be your voice, is there to push back.
He's right. They are there to be our voice, but they're not reading the room. They're not listening to what it is that we're saying. Gavin Newsom thinks that he can go out and he can sit down with white supremacists and sit there and fangirl out over them and have tough conversations outside of his safe space. And he thinks that's going to make him the leader of the party one day. Well, I hate to say it to him, but he's going to be like Marlon Brando at On the Waterfront. It's not going to be long before he's going to be sitting there going, I could have been a contender. Yeah, you could have if you'd have read the room. And if you'd listen to what people were talking about, we're all so sick and tired of this bullshit. We're fed up. We want somebody who will go out there and who will speak for us and be a voice for the people. And that's the thing about our side. We don't worship one guy. No one's here worshiping Tim Walz, okay? We are the leader of our party, and Tim Walz makes a great point in this next clip.
I got asked the question, who's in charge? Who's the leader of the Democratic Party, Governor? And I said, the people are. And for 3 days on Fox News, they're like making fun, the bungholes that are in the morning, like talking, oh, Walz doesn't even know who the leader of the party is. Well, you know why? They sure know where it is. They know who their leader is because chap flipped from butt kissing one person. So demand it. There is not going to be a charismatic leader ride in and do this. It is going to be people coming out on a beautiful Friday afternoon, demanding change and holding people accountable. So,
I love how he said there's not going to be a charismatic leader ride in and save the day, because so many times here on the channel I've talked about how that we're not in a cult. We don't worship one person. And sometimes it is very hard to get people on our side to get together. That's one of my biggest gripes is, man, sometimes I'm sitting here going, come on, guys, let's get it together. Let's move forward. Let's work together on this one. And you got somebody over here picking one single issue and encouraging other people to stay home on election day. So it is very hard to get people on our side together, but we have to realize that it's not going to be one person rise up and save us. We're going to have to be the ones to rise up and save us. But in this last clip I'm going to show you Tim Walz, what I really like about this is his ability to acknowledge failures and his ability to acknowledge, hey, we should have did things different. That's what we need to hear more of from people these days, because all we're ever going to hear from MAGA is how great everything is, even when the house is burning down. So take a look at this one.
But this issue around health care and the issue around Medicare and the things we're talking about, we've got people now that are exactly like this story, worried about basic human right of health care and decency in their life. And I own this. The idea that millions of people stayed home because they didn't think there was any difference between Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and myself on the ticket, they didn't. They didn't think that. And we need to acknowledge that. I think one of the reasons is that when Democrats have been in power, we've been timid about passing things that make a difference on their lives. And why do we have citizens that are in this situation? Why are we at that point when we are the richest nation on earth and yet our outcomes are 41st and we spend twice as much as any nation next to us? We should demand a redo of this system in a way that makes a difference on that, because I think it's very hard that we have to win elections, but good politics follows good policy. And the ACA was an improvement, but let's be honest. The ACA is still a pain in the ass to get things paid, to get things done. It's important protection like pre-existing conditions, but it's still too expensive. And so what I would say to you is, we need to tell your son that we need a healthcare system that he doesn't have to worry that one election could throw him out and into the streets, that one election would make a difference.
I'm so glad he brought that point out, that people stayed home because they couldn't see the difference between Kamala and Trump. And that's truly sad. It truly is sad, because we all saw the difference. We all know that we'd be in a much better place today if Kamala Harris was our president. I am in no way shitting on Kamala Harris. I voted for her. I was proud to do so. I think she would have been a great president. But there were a whole lot of people out there who couldn't tell the difference. And I'm going to tell you why they can't tell the difference. It's because they're not paying attention every day the way that we are. And they don't have time to, by the way. A lot of people don't have time to sit and pay attention and read and research and dig in and study how things actually work. So they see Donald Trump out there and love him or hate him. He is in the mud fighting like hell. He's being as over the top obnoxious and abrasive as he can possibly be. But that does resonate with people, because they'll say, well, hey, at least he's fighting for something. Meanwhile, when they see someone pump the brakes and try to figure out the proper decorum and try to figure out the proper way to speak about things, while I can respect someone doing that, to the public, it comes off like they're weak and they're timid. And then when Democrats have been in power and they had the ball and all they had to do, you're right there, it's 4th and goal, just go for it. Just go for it and get us over the finish line. They'll get timid about it. And then they'll try to start reaching across the aisle and working with people who wants to tear them down. I can't stress this enough. Republicans don't like Democrats, okay? And if Donald Trump is out here congratulating Chuck Schumer, then to Chuck Schumer I would say, you did it wrong. You missed the meeting. You didn't understand the assignment. The assignment is not to sit here and reach across the aisle and be friendly with this guy, because this is not a normal presidency. This is a presidency that should have never happened to start with, okay? And this is one where a guy has the Supreme Court in his back pocket. He thinks he has full immunity, and does have full immunity for official acts, and can sit there and do whatever he wants to, can deem whatever he wants to deem illegal, and then come down hard on it. And if we just sit back and go, well, let's see, now what's the proper decorum with this? Like I said in the previous video, we're at the point in the Tyson Holyfield fight where our ear has been ripped off. There's not going to be a scientific boxing match from here on out. It's not going to happen. And we have to be realistic to that, and that's why more and more people will gravitate towards the likes of Tim Walz, because they're going to want to hear that. They're going to want to hear that kind of energy, and they're going to want to hear somebody echoing what it is that they believe in and what they stand for. And again, I'm not giving Donald Trump any credit, but he echoes what MAGA stands for, and they stand for the absolute worst. They have the absolute worst ideas. They have the absolute worst morals. They have the absolute worst principles and values. Hillary Clinton was wrong for calling them deplorable. There's the word much dirtier somewhere that she should have dug harder and found. Okay, that's what we're up against. And no, I don't want to make nice with them. No, I don't want to shake their hand or have a beer with them. No, I don't, because they're the ones that are saying we're the enemy from within. I get messages from people every day. We want to see you locked up. We want to see you in jail. We want to see you lose everything you ever had, buddy. Why would I want to work with people like that? And why would I want a politician sitting there going, well, let's see, how are we going to talk to them today? Let's make sure we have proper decorum, Brando. Fuck that. That's not what we've long past that, okay? We passed it a long, long, long time ago. But we sure as hell ain't in a place now where we be friendly and we try to reach across the aisle and some people likes Trump, some people likes Kamala. No, some people support authoritarian assholes. And they're okay with that authoritarian asshole running ramshot over everybody as long as they're on their good side. And that's what we're here to stand up against every day. So kudos to Tim Walz. I hope he keeps going. I hope he goes far. And I hope when he finally gets there that the Democratic establishment don't take him into a room and go, okay, now all this stuff you did that worked, could you tone it down and kiss some ass for us? Oh, it's so frustrating day in and day out when you're sitting here and people's like, oh, don't use that word. Don't call them weird. I didn't even really like when we called him weird, honestly, because I'm a big Hunter S. Thompson fan, and he said when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro. I always thought that there was kind of a cool weird. So they kind of ruined the word weird for me, really. But we're going to have to dig in deeper and find a word to better describe them, and then not apologize for saying it. Because that's the thing, if you will come out and stand up for what you believe, more people will respect you if you stand for what you believe instead of if you stand there and just sound doubtful. It doesn't work. I have never seen a debate where someone stood there and said, well, I have a really good idea and I want to thank you and your suit sure looks nice. I've never seen it work that way. Because whether we like it or not, I don't even like to say this, but politics is theater and Donald Trump made it that way more so than ever. So if you think you're going to be able to sit here and have a scientific match with him, that's out the window. It's time to have people like Tim Walz echoing what we've all been saying. And I really appreciate y'all for sticking with me on the channel. We're growing every day, and I'm always surprised to see the numbers continue to grow. And we're headed toward 1 million subscribers. And, you know, if a hillbilly here in East Tennessee can develop a following like that, then it just goes to show that there are people out there who are tired of this stuff and wants to hear something different. They don't want to hear the same old thing. So, folks, I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. We'll keep putting in the fight, and I will keep highlighting people like Tim Walz, who has the balls, and that rhymed. Maybe there's a song in the making. Balls to the walls. I want to be highlighting people who are willing to go balls to the walls, and, yeah, now I'm going to have to write that one.